On the mic.
Oh, we're going?
Music off. Yeah, we're going. Right. We do a podcast here. You know?
I was going to find another podcast or
another podcast to listen to. While
yeah,
we're doing
right.
this one?
Like lost interest.
All right, here we go. And 5, 4, 3.
Welcome everyone, and pull up a seat at the table. It's Lunchtime in Rome. Tonight's episode is 238, and it's entitled Marriage Check-ins. It's important to work on our relationships outside of conflict. It's important to check in with one another on a regular basis. What should that look like? What should you go over? That's what we're going to be talking tonight, and pull up a seat and join us. First-time listeners can subscribe on your favorite podcast app or watch us live or later at youtube.com/lunchtime in Rome. Visit us at lunchtimeinrome.com. And while there, you can take our relational needs questionnaire. Make sure to follow us on all social media. And it'd be great if you gave us a 5-star review. Jay, what specifically is this podcast about?
Being alone is the worst. Good times aren't as good, and bad times are worse when you're all alone. Romans 12:15 says to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. That is how you keep people from being alone, and what this podcast is all about. We demonstrate that in the first 15 minutes of the podcast, and we talk about it for the rest. So while it may not be 12:15 in Rome, we're treating it like it is lunchtime in Rome. Wow.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Chris.
Well,
Tell us about the merch.
well, So after Brian, asked me that the other day, because those of you who didn't listen to last week's podcast, I vehemently said, is vehemently the right word?
Vehemently.
Vehemently said
Effeminately.
Like a snake.
that we are going to have merch, and we will. But so after you said, hey, how's that merch going? And I got online immediately to try to design a T-shirt.
Yeah.
But I was at work, and then I forgot about it.
I got one word for you. Evie.
Evie? Mm-hmm. Is that a name?
Yep. She comes to our church, and she makes tumblers and mugs and all that kind of stuff and T-shirts.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
She's a fiery Puerto Rican woman.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Big
I'm
fan.
excited.
Big fan.
All right. So, merch. And it's almost Easter.
Yeah.
I did my my almost Easter beard trim.
We know.
Babyface David.
Cutting it back a little bit as we approach spring, or warm weather. I guess it's already spring. But I've had a great week.
Man, that's good.
Yeah, I like our topic tonight because I like it today because Amy and I have been just so good lately.
Oh, that's nice.
We have been riding. I feel like we've settled in, not in a bad way, but settled into a really good routine communication wise and meeting each other's needs, and it's just been like one of those phases. And now that I'm mentioning it out loud, we're gonna have a bad stretch, right?
Don't do that to
No, dude, he definitely jinxed it.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
But
other
so
shoe.
that's been great,
Name it
and of
claim
course,
it. I mean,
Welcome to the Other Shoe podcast.
I'm very happy for you
sorry.
and Amy.
How much of it is absent of conflict or stress?
What do you mean? Because they're not conflicted or stressed?
Sure, but I'm saying he's like, oh, we're in a good space right now, or is that because nothing else is really going on that's stressing the relationship?
Right.
yeah, I mean that certainly helps, but
I would hope so.
yeah, but
Things just get worse when everything's good. Let me just say, that would be bad.
no, but yeah, I don't know how to gauge that. I'm sure that
we'll gauge it based on what we talk about later.
yeah, absolutely. What else? Anybody? I don't know.
Are you going in on the cow?
Me?
Yeah.
I am not. I don't eat meat that fast.
Wait, is there a new cow talk?
I thought it was already done.
Yeah, it's already done without our
it's been decreed.
acknowledgement. Yeah, it's same as last year. It'll be like summer, fall. But I texted my brother and I was like, hey, we're in. He's like, oh, it's already ordered. And I was like, and I, of course, now 53 years old, I was like, crap. So I have to go all the way back through my text with him. And then I texted him and said, did we talk about this? He's like, nah, I figured you'd be in. And he goes, and if you wanted to be fine. And I'm like, oh, okay. Because I thought we'd had this big conversation that eluded me.
Right. But Chris is not going to be.
Nah, he ain't down.
We just during the winter we don't grill in all weather. I like my meat grilled, and that's what that's part of it. And we don't grill during the winter. And then the other thing is,
if you don't mind me asking, why don't you grill during the winter?
just because
Because you have a covered porch and everything.
no, not for. Well, we do. You're right. I could move
Underneath.
the grill onto the covered porch.
Guess who else doesn't have a
No,
covered
you don't.
grill?
But your grill's
It's
only like
right off the kitchen. Though.
5 steps
It
off
is
your.
super
Yeah,
convenient.
I'm serious about my grilling.
Well, I
that's
mean,
true too.
if you lived in my house, you would still grill. But since like the way it's like it's inconvenient for me.
Do you have a grilling raincoat?
No, I have a grilling jacket.
Okay. I'm
Here's,
sorry.
That's okay. Here's the other thing, though, is that we really, speaking of avoiding stressors in our life. Oh my gosh, I can't talk tonight. Anyway,
And yet you're the one who's talked the most so far, and it's okay.
I'm going to slow down a skitch.
Not too much, though.
So we still do our hungry route thing where we, the mail order meals, which we stop during the summer and as far into the fall as we can sort of handle it until we're like, okay, we don't have time to cook like full meals. So, we're getting, our fall schedule gets too busy. So we're like, okay, let's get back to hungry route. So we don't end up using a lot of our like stored meats and, things in the freezer during a lot of the school year, but we're going to get back to it.
Yeah.
Lex, I mentioned today that we had the bone marrow, and she her face lit up. She didn't realize that we got
That's so
bone marrow,
good, dude.
even,
It's so good.
or didn't remember that we had it. So she's
I don't think we got any.
I think
Wait,
you did. I think
you-
everybody got a bag.
I'm pretty sure we got a bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
They
wasn't
look
sure
like
if I got one.
bones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
Well, in fact, they are bones.
they are. With
Marrow's
marrow's in the middle.
In the bone.
The only thing is though, I like to put it on like
Toast.
yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm not doing- I'm
you
not
could
doing-
put it on a potato that's starchy.
Yeah.
Put it on a steak.
All right.
Oh yeah, you started eating
Like,
clean
yeah,
again, huh?
that's like putting caviar on top of a piece of fish.
Yeah. All right.
Not exactly like it.
I mean, I get it.
It would
Ooh,
be
I
like
bet it would
putting
be
a-
good on fish. You could do that.
Beef up your fish.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So speaking of fish, I hadn't been sick in 2.5 years, and then I got that 5 days of sneezing, and then last Wednesday into Thursday when I swallowed late at night, I was like, oh, my throat hurts. And the next morning I'm like, okay, it's not worse, but it's still there. And then the day it was fine. And then at night it came back. And I'm like, it was one of those things, and I think I've talked to you guys about this, like when your nose is stuffed up, so you get a sore throat overnight. Only my nose wasn't stuffed up.
But you got the sore throat.
Still got the sore throat every night. So then yesterday morning I woke up and, expectorated a little bit, took a Mucinex, guaiacin is the actual drug, and a decongestant, drove up and back to get Bella. And the whole day I could feel my left sinus cavity. Like, you know how when it pops and you get that relief, it would take me to the brink of pop, but then just kind of go back. So I took a nice steamy shower last night, go to bed. The single worst night of sleep I have had in years. It was as if somebody had put a load of cement inside the entire left side of my head.
It backfired.
And then my nose would slowly drip a little bit, enough to keep me awake.
Nah.
Infuriating.
Yeah.
But yet I'm also good at when I can't sleep, like, well, I'm just not sleeping, but I'm resting,
Did
And
you
then-
lose? Did you lose time at all?
Excuse me?
Did you lose time? I'm just thinking maybe you were abducted by gray aliens.
It's not an impossibility,
I don't think it is. I think it might be a possibility, actually.
but only the left side of my face.
Dude, they do all kinds of weird
They're
stuff.
crazy. And then when I woke up later, I was like, oh, all right, it's okay. And so I just had this like congestion in my head, and like you can kind of hear it, but not really. It's just the weirdest thing. Like I'm not sick at all.
Yeah.
And then I met with somebody today, and they went, "Oh, did you take a COVID test?" And I just went, and it's somebody I know a little bit, but not very well. And like she goes, "Well, did you take a COVID test?"
Wait,
And I went,
you were mentioning this to her?
yeah, I
Oh,
said, because I said I didn't want to give them a hug or whatever else.
right.
And they go, did you take a COVID test? And I went, no, and went out, no. That's all I said. I said, no. But
That's funny.
when we were in Erie over the weekend, Saturday morning, we woke up to like 2.5, 3 inches of snow. But we had to hurry up and leave to go get Bella to take everybody to lunch before we left. Open up the trunk, all the snow slides down, goes into my trunk. So today, get in the
Just
car.
like your nose.
You should just get another car. Get a new car.
Well, I got another email from Kia today. It's tax refund season. Oh, not for me, it's not. But anyhow. So, of course, today it's got that musty,
Yeah.
smell. So
Need some warm weather. Open
I went
it up.
over to Mod Wash at Ritzland The new one,
Yeah.
by,
Yeah.
the Ghost of Big Shot Bob's first one that burned down.
Right.
Yes.
And I didn't even go in because it was like you have to go through like the sensor or whatever, and like this lane was for this. And so I pulled to the side, opened up my phone, and looked up mod wash. And I was like, how does it even work? I don't want to pay for a whole wash. I just want to vacuum my car. Like it's fine. And I was like, wait a minute, the place out by Mohan's.
Yep.
There's a place there.
Yep.
Not only did I go out there, but tell me about it, Brian. Free vacuuming.
Yes, it is free.
They're just on.
Yeah,
Right.
they're just on. Well, I mean, the mod washes ones are too, but you do. They're for the people that have.
You're
that gotta
supposed
get
to go
washed.
through the wash
Yeah.
first.
Okay, I don't care about my car being washed. I want my vacuum.
Right.
So then I took all the stuff out of my trunk and let it sit in the sun all day, and there you go. It wasn't a great vacuum, to be very honest with you, but I got the bulk of it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing.
I went and watched Abby's first musical. So she was
No more fire safety awards. We're capped that out.
Fire Safety Award season's over. She
The musical is about fire safety.
yeah.
Kind of the opposite.
Yeah.
Ice safety.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they did Frozen Junior. Abby's in 6th grade, so our middle school is 6th to 8th grade. And it was
It was a great time.
a good time. If I do win the lottery at some point, I will be donating a sound system to the middle
please.
school.
Hiring in a sound engineer.
Yeah, I mean it's a little bit of both though. The technology and the people
not
running
good.
the technology are both really bad. Offense to whoever, if you are listening, running.
Don't
the
know that
sound.
he does.
And I hope he does. And here's this. But yeah, it was a time, and I'm glad that it was cool to see Abby in it.
And so many kids in it.
So many kids.
So many kids.
Tons
And
of
it's so good.
Well, and it hit me too because like I remember seeing Ethan in he did the one in 6th grade, and then watching Bella. Bella was in that one, and
2.
I didn't realize it at the time, but it was like I'm gonna watch these kids basically, for the next 3, 4, 5 years and get to know them. You know what I mean? And like this past year, for Bella's senior year when they did
Mamma Mia.
yeah, that one. I had that moment where I was like, I've really grown close to a lot of these kids, and I'm not going to, see them again probably. So, anyways, I had that moment with Abby. Like, here we go again. If she decides to stay in musical, in a good way.
Mamma Mia
Like,
songs.
here we go again. Yeah. So, yeah, it was a good time. And what?
It's something again.
Mamma Mia. Here I go again.
It's a
it is.
lyric in the
It's
song.
in there, yeah.
That's the Family Guy one.
And that's about.
How were the crowds the other nights? Because we went Saturday night and it was 3/4 filled.
I didn't go Friday night because I had other priorities like
we
hockey.
went Friday night, and it was
Yeah,
good crowd.
Lex said that there was, I think, 240 people on Friday night.
that sounds about right.
Slightly less on Saturday.
Really? I
Yeah.
feel like it was more.
Thursday was definitely less.
Well, sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that. So I went to Thursday and Saturday. But
I'm going to have Peter Griffin singing Mamma Mia.
let's see what else. So that's about it. I mean,
Work.
work. Yeah, like it's solving some big problems and
But solving them. Man, I mean, getting towards solving.
working around a lot of things right now. And it's like you do what you have to do and stay one step ahead and go back and
Dude, I'm so excited for you in the whole work thing.
no, thanks.
No, I just am. Like you've been through the ringer over the years, and you've been through the ringer here, and you're getting stuff done. That's cool.
It's a good feeling, but thank you.
Yeah.
We went to go see the musical with Abby in it, Frozen, and it was good. It was fun because we took Maggie with us, and
That was a cute picture you sent me.
Yeah, she wanted to dress up. We dressed her up in her Elsa dress and made it a whole thing, and it was so fun, and it was a good crowd, and the kids were so talented. They were really good, and I was trying to think what else. I had something, and then I forgot what it was. Like for an update this week, I know one funny thing that's
New
going
car?
on. That was last week.
Okay. That's right. We did talk about it.
But one thing, so I've talked about this before, where Maggie is having trouble. So, Amy's mom passed away. So Tuesdays and Thursdays, on the days that
Lunch bunch.
her mom used to come pick her up, she now stays all day at preschool, and she does not like nap time. And she's not a napper. Like, in her defense, like, it's a 2-hour nap time, and like, that's a long time.
I don't get that.
I think it's for kids that are used to it, that like start at the beginning of the program and they're there all day from the get-go.
Yeah, but still.
They're used to it. I'm with you. Yeah, but still. So now we're dealing with her. The teacher pulled me aside and said, so Maggie, I need you to tell Maggie to stay, laid down. She got up and told the teacher that her shoe was untied. And okay.
And you can't have your shoe untied when you're napping.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
You got to teach her to be a better liar.
Yeah. And then she had to go to the bathroom, which, whatever, bathroom is bathroom. And then Maggie went back down, and then she like unlaced her shoe, like completely.
Nice.
Got back.
I can't imagine how bored she is. Like,
She's so bored,
trying,
dude. So bored, and they can't have anything. They can't have a book or anything.
Really?
Well, in their defense, they say like, what's that going to do? They're going to have it for 3 minutes, and that because she can't like read yet.
Well, get her on reading.
Well, we are. She's recognizing words, but
Get her on reading.
But it's just one of those things where it's
It's
just.
the key to learning.
But I know what it was. What I wanted to bring up, and it's related to this. So when we get there, the teacher says, I need to talk to you for a minute. And like, I just went back to
Yep.
little old me
Yep.
in trouble.
You're in trouble.
At school. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. But it's so funny how
Yes.
how you and this is exactly what we talk about on this podcast of like when these moments happen, you go back to when you're a kid and you getting in trouble or whatever. Because me, I never did well in school. I was
What's the
always,
framework for your emotional needs moving forward?
yeah, and it was just wild how it just like hit me in the gut, and I was like, oh no.
And then you said to her, like, am I going to get paddled? Now you caught a charge.
It was more like, am I going to get are you going to send a poor work notice home to my parents?
Don't tell my mom when she picks her up, please.
Poor work notice. I forgot about those.
Oh, I got a lot of them.
I never got any.
I intercepted a lot in the mail. But no, and it was a moment. I was like, it's not me, It's but it was just a weird feeling how it was just one of those moments that we talk about, and it was just so recognizable in the moment when
Palpable.
it happened. Yeah, I was like, oh. So yeah, that was that was a funny moment.
This is ridiculous. I'm an adult. I'll get in trouble.
I'm a 41-year-old man talking to my kid's preschool teacher. Like,
But I send my kid to.
and I'm like, what could the worst thing be? Then yeah, it's ridiculous.
The fact that you have to employ all your coping mechanisms
Yeah,
to get out of trouble
my face is getting hot. Like,
of a school you don't go
boy.
to.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Well, we do want to thank Mary Lynn and
Yes.
Ashley and Breaking 90. I keep wanting to say Breaking Bad, and I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No.
For joining us at the table in the way that they do. We encourage all of you out there to come and join us at the table in a way that is mutually beneficial, but financially beneficial to us as well. How else do we want to plug this? Chris, do you want to plug that merch?
Merch.
Yeah, there you go.
yeah.
Yeah. And we do still have that exciting thing to talk about that we haven't talked about yet. So we'll be sharing that with you as soon as we talk about it.
Great.
So I wanted to talk about I had many different ideas for tonight. And one is we still have to revisit and employ/engage the Level Up Challenge. Because all we did was address it, and then we just kind of let it slide by the wayside.
We sure did. I forgot about that.
Well, you were passionate about it.
I loved
you
it.
were making patches and everything
Yes.
for levels and whatnot. But the other was Rachel and I sat down because I was thinking about the Level Up Challenge. So I said to her, Rachel, tell me one way that I can meet your emotional needs every day this week. And it was a great moment because I was really afraid she was going to go, leave me alone.
I was just going to say, she said, no.
But yeah, let me nap because I was doing her post-work pester. kind of thing. Like, you know, when daddy comes home and the kids get all excited? That's me with Rachel. But anyhow, she said, Easter baskets.
Ooh.
And I was like, so, and it's so funny because I always have to be the teacher. You need me to meet your need for security.
Oh, security, yeah.
By taking this project on. And I went, no, I asked you, how can I meet your need every day? But it's fine. It's fine. This will be fine. And so I'm going to take care of that, you know, because it's not like I can get the Easter baskets every day.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, bring her an Easter basket every single day.
No, it's for the kids.
I know.
Right.
That just...
And it was great because then I picked Bella up, and within 3 seconds, she's like, hey, is the Easter Bunny going to bring Maddie? I was like,
Aw.
can one woman in my life just think that I'm going to do what I'm going to do and trust that I'm going to do it? And I was like, I mean, yes, I'll meet your need for security.
I'm more curious of what's in a Jay Mitlow Easter basket. I'm thinking like
especially
an
as
egg-shaped
bone marrow.
steak. You know, egg-shaped
for
steak.
me, yeah.
You know, a little wrapped up bacon in an egg, you know, like
the cross is a bacon. It's a bacon cross.
Yeah.
A couple of sausages. So that got me to thinking of what I was trained in, which are marriage staff meetings. And that is just a gross and stupid and terrible term.
Yeah.
And so we don't call them that. And we've said it before, marriage check-ins, that you want to check in outside of conflict on a regular basis. Eric, you wanted to?
Well, I just want to let's define conflict, because like
Sure.
Are you talking about conflict between you two or
Or
the
if there-
general conflict of life? And
Right.
you guys are fine, but life is pressing in on you.
right, because right now, like Amy and I are obviously going through it. We've talked about that over the past couple of weeks, months.
Yes, we certainly have. My gosh.
And we're going through it. And
guys
in
are,
those
yeah.
times, it's tough to think about.
Yeah.
Like that.
I would say the answer is both.
Okay.
Certainly outside of, you know, you should only work on your relationship when you're fighting is the first point I would make.
Right.
And that's pretty much what any couple ever does.
Right.
They're fighting, so they either work on it then
Let's
or
have
they,
a baby now because that'll fix it.
well, that's a little random. But yeah, that's what some people do.
Right.
But also, no, I would say it's definitely not outside of conflict in your life because it's all the more important to have these check-ins
Right.
in those times.
Yeah.
The reason and the impetus for this podcast this evening is that's all we've ever said. To check in, see how everybody's emotional
haven't
needs
explored
are. What?
We haven't explored it.
No, we haven't flushed it out, if you will. And so I thought, hey, let's do that. And I went back into my training and got some of my notes out. And I thought, so let's go over it at the table. And with you guys at the table now and listening later, you can join us and say, yeah, I do that.
Yeah.
Or no, I don't do that. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and guarantee 75% of this, none of us at the table do. And
Right.
95%, nobody does.
Yeah.
But is it valuable? Would you add it to your repertoire? So
Yeah.
number one
Number one.
is just in general, it's about the time that you want to schedule a time. It's got to be an appointment. Hey, this week, whatever else. And secondly, you got to prioritize that time.
Right.
It can't go by the wayside. And you want to protect that time.
Yep.
Okay, bing, bang, boom.
Yep.
And again, you know, it should be on a regular basis. I think in my notes and stuff like that, they were like, it should be every week. I'm like, oh, every other week would be good. Like, I say just have it is my encouragement because
Right.
99% of people aren't doing it.
Find out what that good sweet spot is on meeting.
Because in
Yeah.
my training,
Yeah.
it was 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes once a week. And I was like, yeah, I don't see that happening.
Oh, wow.
That's a long time.
Yeah, because we did this. Amy and I did this years ago now, probably when we first started like
Sure.
taking your classes and stuff. And we did it. We put it on the calendar. In fact, I think it still sits on our calendar on our
So
phones.
you scheduled a time.
Yes, we did
But
that.
you have not prioritized or protected the time.
We have not continued it. No.
You did at one point.
We did it for a while. Yeah, we did it for a while. I want to say months on and on. Like we didn't make it every. Like we had it scheduled once per week, and we would do it. I don't know. I'll say 3 out of 4 weeks per month.
Yeah.
So for a handful of months.
75% of the time.
Yeah, there you go.
75% of the time they did it
All the time.
All the time.
And it was nice, and we fell by the wayside, unfortunately. Yeah, that's too bad. We never did it for. Well, I shouldn't say that. Sometimes we made it a little date, and we would go out like for happy hour or meet for dinner, and like
Yeah, that's okay.
discuss and have. So it wasn't all of that check-in time, or all of that time wasn't check-in time, but it was sort of in the midst of it. But other times we just sit on our couch, and it'd be like a 5-minute thing, which maybe that isn't enough
Sure.
to get through all of the.
But going out, that kind of serves the opportunity to talk about.
Right. It's purposeful,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what we'll find as we go through this is we all do some of these things. It's just not inside a quote unquote check-in.
Right.
Like number two, part of the agenda is the first thing you do is bang out the schedule.
Yeah. We try to do that weekly because that's huge, especially for Amy. It's huge to know where everybody's going to be, who needs to be picked up, who's covering bug.
Kid schedule's huge.
Right. Kid schedule is a big thing. Where am I going to be? Am I on worship team this week or not? That kind of thing.
At both levels, kid schedule's huge. Because you take your kids places, you need to know where your son is, and you got to get your daughter places.
Yeah, and we just started a corporate, like a family calendar. Like Lex went through Gmail, and it's just alerts, that pop up. But
It's so helpful.
it is really helpful because, especially in this season right now, where Abby and Ethan are both doing musical, Ethan's now working. I've got a pretty busy schedule, so yeah, that's been very, very handy for us to do that, and we all see it and we all get the alerts.
Yeah. Eric, you brought up, am I on this week?
Right.
The church. So yeah, you want to look up like not only if you have a variable work schedule, which you guys sort of do, because Amy's sometimes here, sometimes
Right.
there,
I go in
sometimes
on
on
Wednesdays.
coverage. You go in, where are you going? So you want to coordinate work schedules. You want to coordinate kids' schedules, both caring for them, making sure they're cared for, or just simply transporting them.
Right.
And you talked about volunteer and or other social activities, like
This
hey,
podcast.
right. What'd you say? This podcast? That's one of them.
Yeah.
What are other things you guys clear with your spouses on your calendar?
Like if we're doing like if we want to do like a guys' night or disc golf outing or whatever, or she wants to do girl night or something like that.
Same. Yeah. Game nights. Yeah.
Yeah.
Disc golf.
Miscellaneous events
Right.
that we want to do.
Right. Time for each person.
We've had a shared calendar for years. It's probably since we first got smartphones, in 2007 or something. So we don't have like a normal. Are you talking about like just coordinating calendars, Jay, or are you talking about like sit down and discuss the week? Like, is
Sit
it a
down.
well,
community?
so this
discuss
is
the
this
week.
is your marriage
Yeah.
check-in.
Yeah.
So number one is calendars.
Oh, it's all part of the same conversation.
Right.
This is the entire marriage check-in.
Oh,
meeting.
now, 45 minutes. That's starting to make a little more sense now.
How you can fill it up? You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, we're not even done with calendars yet because
Right.
you have those things.
Yep.
But then you also talk about, okay, when's our next date night? And in the training that we received that you should go on a date, I think it was once a month,
Yeah.
but that includes not double dates, not
Right.
chores, not visiting. It's you and your spouse.
Right.
So going over the next date, the next family vacation, the next family social event. And here's my favorite one. You ready?
Yep.
Scheduling intimacy.
What do you mean by that?
Sometimes it's good to say, okay, when are we going to be alone? When's the next time we can do this?
That makes my skin crawl. To schedule your intimacy.
Hey, I don't know.
I mean, I'm not. I'm not. I'm
Hold
not
on, with
knocking
each
it.
other. I want to make sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's still like I'm not knocking it. I just can't. Like, hey, on this night we're gonna have sex. Like, what? I'm sorry. It doesn't. That doesn't really work for him.
That's a drop
Why
and a
does it
half.
bother you as much as it seems to?
Because like to me that should be a spontaneous expression of your heart and yes, are there times where like you aren't in sync with each other? of course, especially over a long-term relationship. But to like, that's one of, like, for me, intimacy, it's a wild thing. It is an unbridled thing. And so when I hear schedule it, it's like you schedule a doctor's appointment. You schedule something that you don't want to go to.
There, now that comes out. That's it. Yeah.
I want to go to intimacy, and I'm not going to schedule it. I'm just going to,
Some would say you schedule things that you prioritize
sure, right?
or are essential.
Yeah. So for some people, I guess they have to do that, huh?
Oh, I would say very much so. I mean, that's why it's in there. And but I certainly hear what you're saying.
I love your passion, Brian.
And I don't think, well, that's a good question. I was gonna say, I don't think there's any one of us would be like, if, let me make it a little more remote. I think most men would love to have their wives spontaneously approach them in said fashion. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's many guys would be like, babe, come on. Okay, get it on the calendar. However, the reality is, if it's something you prioritize, if it's something that's essential, and as your lives get crazy, you're like, hey, when's the next time? Especially, and it depends on the house you live in.
Right.
If you got a big enough house with enough locked doors, okay, it's on the table any night. If your kids are a little bit older, it's not as feasible. And so you got to kind of say,
Right.
When's the next time?
Right.
We have a saying in my house.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Is it toot toot?
No, well, yes, there's that one too, but no, it is.
It's okay. I'm wearing shorts.
That's a good one too. No, this one has to do with, especially like when Ben's home for the summer or vacation or whatever, and we say, "Oh, it's boys' night," because boys' night means.
Please elaborate.
Boys' night means that Ben is going out with his guys, and they're out until like 1 a.m. or something.
So you don't say that to Ben.
No, we don't say that.
That's the code for the
code.
windows
Gosh,
open.
Yes, the
There's
code
so
is,
much
oh,
there.
it's boys' night.
There's so much there.
That makes a lot more sense when you
Yeah.
put that all together.
Sorry.
And I'm sure
To,
there's
to
a
me,
lo-
it was very
Yeah.
implied, but yeah,
And
I don't.
to the point that Brian was making, not to be devil's advocate or whatever, the lack of a better way of putting it, but I'm sure there's guys out there that would love if
Their wife would say, honey, when's the next time we can?
Yeah, right.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Saturday, pencil me in penno, in pen.
In pen.
Pencil me in pen.
Pat, if you schedule that kind of thing, is it still authentic? And I think that's a
It's a great question.
that's a valid point that I resonate with, because for me, that aspect of my life, absolutely needs to be authentic.
How is it?
Oh, I mean, like, trust me, I could do it when it's not authentic. I would
Most
much
guys can.
prefer. But to that, like that, I don't want to do things that aren't genuine, right?
But I think with your wife, it's genuine.
I would hope so.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Brian. Hey, it's okay to be you.
I think it's okay to say, like, it's good to schedule. You'd rather it be spontaneous.
This might be a whole different subject.
Well,
A whole different
we're
podcast.
dipping our toes into some waters that we have not done yet in 236 or so
Yeah.
episodes. So is it authentic? Well, if it is an expression of love and intimacy with somebody that you are married to, whether it is on the schedule or it happens impromptu, I would say it's very much authentic. Is it spontaneous? No, not at all.
Yeah. I think the one night would have been my wedding night, and I was like, yeah, let's get that thing on the schedule, but other than that, like,
You were talking to like the caterer and the wedding planner.
guess what I'm doing tonight?
No, they're like going over, okay, you guys are going to intro into the reception at 7.
We're gonna
cut
do
the
the
cake
hokey
at 8.
pokey and
Chicken dance, and then the Brian and Lex dance.
the
meant like the-
horizontal tango.
I meant
you know
like
what
the
I'm saying?
first dance is what I meant.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I want to backtrack just for a second. Speaking of scheduling, but date night. You said schedule your next date night. Man, do we slack on that. We've gone through phases where we are decent at that. And last calendar year, 2023, we got a year's subscription, I guess, or a membership to Row House Cinema down in Lawrenceville, and what you get with that is like a couple of free tickets per month. So it was like, well, we got to use these tickets. We paid for these tickets already, so it made us
Several times a month.
no once per month.
Oh, okay.
Like we got a ticket.
2 tickets once a month. I took it as twice a month.
Sorry, once per month we went to a movie, and most months we made it most of the months of the year. I'd say 9 or 10, and that was good for us because it was like, oh, we need to plan our next time out, and now. This year so far, we've slacked off on that.
Right. And the face I'm making, for those of you watching and those who are listening, I'm making a face. Because if you think about that, and you could really overanalyze it, like I prioritize you as my wife, and I want to take you on a date at least once a month. We better get some tickets that'll make us do this. Like you should, like the impetus should not be, I don't want to waste the money on these tickets. It's I want to spend time with, I know that's not what it is because it is so easy to let it slide.
Right.
But
And
we don't prioritize it.
Right. And it's easier to let it slide when like Amy and I are going through times like we are.
Oh yeah.
Because we're like, we're just empty. Right. And we're, it's tough, but we have some things planned, which is good.
Well, I want to make sure we address Patton. If you schedule this kind of thing, is it still authentic?
we
And
did.
I would love to know Jay's take.
Yeah.
So your take is...
I gave it.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to make sure we
No,
cover
I
that.
appreciate that. You've always protected Patton. Appreciate that. Hey, number 2, you're going to go over your goals. You want to sit down and give updates on your goals, which is presupposing
That
We
you
have goals.
that you have goals.
as a couple.
What kind of goal? Like goals as
yeah,
a couple,
individual.
or
Yeah, right,
like-
right.
Goals for your kids, goals for you guys, goals for you as individuals.
You should have them all. So you want to have annual goals that are broken down by subcategories. Could be quarter,
Oh.
could be monthly,
So
could
like
be
even
weekly,
like
could
projects around the house kind of thing.
could be. Hey, our goal is to go on one date a month.
Okay.
Our goal could be we're going to go away once a quarter. We want to, take the kids on a vacation this summer. We want to have, where is that? It goes under parenting issues. But it could also be like one of your sub goals could be I want to spend time with each of my kids alone. Mm-hmm. Have special daddy-daughter, daddy's father-son, times. Mm-hmm. You should have that. Certainly other goals comes into budgets. Mm-hmm. What are the needs coming up? What expenses do we see coming down the road? See, all of this for me, straight hypocrisy. Not hypocrisy, because I don't tell you that I'm doing these things. We do none of these things formally.
The goal thing is, that sounds like work.
I almost hear the budgetary discussion as, I guess everything you discuss could be goals, but I feel like that's almost like in my head its own category. Like as part of our weekly check-in, like we discuss our goals and we also check in with the budget. I guess it could be either or. Maybe
Your goal could certainly be we want to make sure that we are able to save $5,000 this year.
Right.
All right. Well, we're in March. Are we at $1,500?
Gotcha. Check in.
Right. We want to Dave Ramsey. Let's check our envelopes and let's see if there's any money here that we can move there. I value it. That's not true. I see the value in it.
I see that because you have a yearly goal, but what are you going to do in the in-between this week to meet that yearly goal?
Rachel and I had a financial check-in the other day. I told her that I wanted her to get Bella to get a job in Mohans, and I was working with Jess to get her an interview for the summer. And of course, Rachel said, "Well, I don't want her to work at Mohans." And so we got into it, and I actually stopped myself, but then I said it. I almost said, "Well, it's not your money that we keep sending off to her when she doesn't have any money." I'm like, "Oh, and actually, it is your money. You just don't know about it because you trust me with the money." So yeah, we had a budget meeting.
Yeah, you did.
But you also want to talk about what household major budget plans and or expenditures. Like, okay, hey, are we saving for this? Mm-hmm. Hey, do we have enough money socked away for a new furnace or new air conditioning or whatever else? Which, once again, nope.
Yeah.
We definitely have those talks. Like we talk about any sort of major issue or purchase issue being, I guess, just an upcoming purchase. Like there's something, that needs fixed or whatever. But it's definitely, that is a separate conversation. Like it's not part of a weekly check-in.
It's its own thing.
It's its own thing, yeah. But we do it.
Well, and you can check in on those things, how they're doing.
Yeah. And family goals, extended family plans, like things like, hey, how are we doing with our in-laws? What are our plans coming up? What are we doing? Are we going to go see the cousins? And again, these aren't, these are just things. Hey, are we building those relationships? Are we managing the relationships well? That kind of stuff. How are we doing with our friends? Do we see our friends enough? Who needs us? Who needs to spend time, both inward and outward? Hey, did you get enough time with your friends last week? Or do any of your friends need anything this week? We want to make sure that we're building relationships with our friends and being good friends to other people. Personal goals. If you're checking in with your spouse, hey, did you get to the gym this week? What can I do to help you get to the gym this week? Hey, how are we doing on our diet? How are we doing, with projects, hobbies?
I reached level 200 in Call of Duty.
That's what I'm talking about.
Mobile.
Goal. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Actually, I'm like 238 now.
There's Warzone mobile now too. You should check that out.
I will check it out.
I had a thing a couple weeks ago, and I don't think Lex would mind me sharing this, but she was kind of really down. She was going through just lingering sickness and just generally not feeling good.
No intimate time on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And last year we got a she shed. We bought a whole new shed in our backyard, and she's decorated it. It's kind of her, because there really wasn't a spot for her in the house. Our house isn't big.
So the shed has like a gender?
It's a she shed, yes.
Instead of a man cave, it's a she shed.
I know, I'm just kidding.
I mean, we can talk about pronouns.
No,
But,
not doing that right now.
Sorry. So she took it and decorated it. Has like a carpet in it and books, and she put a teapot and everything. So like it's her spot. But like I noticed she hadn't really, obviously it was winter, but she hadn't really even thought about it. Like I could tell she was like stuck in this spot where she just wasn't in a good spot. So I challenged her. I said, once every day this week, just go touch your she shed. Walk outside and just touch it, right? Just to keep it in your mind. Mm-hmm. And it was it was good. It was a healthy thing. And so just along the lines of like, what are your goals, personal goals, stuff like that. It is good for you, in the context of these meetings. Those are things where you as a spouse can find those blind spots and encourage them to, I know that this thing is important to you. Are you doing this? You know what I mean? Like that's a good part of these check-ins.
Speaking of the level up challenge, that's level 2 right there. It's above level 1. I don't know which level it counts as, but like having your eyes on her that way and recognizing her needs like proactively. Wouldn't you say that's a level up something?
Yeah, that's a separate. Yeah, because you're not asking anymore; you're just doing it. I mean, that's
I'm just saying kudos to you.
No, I
that's
didn't
great.
say that to toot my own horn. It just like as you're talking about, like if one
you're
of
actually doing exactly what we asked, which is applying these things to your own life.
that's just an example that popped into my mind.
Right, it's great.
Yeah.
Well, and again, Rachel and I, we do not have formal goals. We clearly do not set them on an annual basis. We do not break them down on a monthly and a weekly and any other sub goals. Yeah, but guess what? We do most of these things. You know what I'm saying? So these should be priorities regardless in your check-ins.
Yeah. This is a more structured way. I feel like a lot of us, some of us do like have, they're implicit. Like we understand, like we kind of know we want to go somewhere. We're a family. This is what families do. We go somewhere. But what this is, it is a much more structured, intentional way to define those things.
So that when the conflict comes, not necessarily between the two of you, but when you get into these periods of intense, overwhelming, well, we have these things down.
It's muscle memory. It's like, it's just, you've been repetitively being intentional about these things. And so those instincts kick in, right?
Yeah. Well, the reason why I made a face when you said muscle memory is, well, it's not muscle memory. It's discipline. It's saying, no, we still have to sit down. We still got to talk about these things so that we don't let the once a month date night slide, so that we don't forget about the she shed. That, hey, you'd sit down on a Monday. You wouldn't have to wait however many weeks to go, she hasn't touched her she shed in weeks.
Right.
Mm-hmm. You would have the opportunity to go, okay, the she shed's a priority to you. How you do, it's getting ahead of things, not reacting to things.
Well, and all these things meet emotional needs in one way or another.
through.
Which I think should be said because that's what the podcast is about. Because like for Amy, it'll bring support and security and know like things are good. You know, things are on schedule and
for
everything's
you, it
covered.
avoids the need for acceptance.
Right.
Which your need is so high.
Right.
The less that falls through the cracks, the better off you are. Pat Nasty said, how do we address double standards, and how should double standards be handled in a marriage? And I would say that's specific to this podcast tonight. I think a marriage staff meeting avoids double standards. I would say double standards are a misunderstandings. I mean, again, I'm only assuming what you're asking, Patton, but is a misunderstanding of emotional needs. You know, like if Rachel gets mad if she texts me and I don't immediately text back, she's hurt. But if I text her, she may never respond. That's a double standard. However, it's not a problem.
Right.
Because I don't have a high need for security.
Right.
And so therefore, I think it's a misunderstanding of emotional needs more so than a double standard.
Right.
But
And I'll say too, I'll get into there will be times where I get that feeling like, well, this is a double standard. Like there's whatever it is that's happening. Like she's expecting this of me, and yet she does such and such. And yet when we either get into an argument about it, or just it comes up in a healthier conversation, almost 100% of the time when I listen to her point of view on it, it completely changes my mindset, and I'm like, wow, I did not think of it from that perspective.
you only saw it through your eyes and your needs.
Yep.
I perceived it as a double standard, and in reality, she just had this need, or whatever that she was expressing in such and such a way, and I was taking it in a more defensive or in like personal way.
And that happens a lot when our own needs aren't being met.
And then we're not checking in.
And we're not checking in. The next thing you need to check in is parenting issues. That if you're not on the same page, man, don't our children learn to divide and conquer?
Oh yeah.
Mine don't, but they fear us both. So that's just different. I mean, we raised them in such a guilt-ridden and or whatever kind of way.
Yeah.
But very often, you do have to be in one accord, so to speak. We're a Camry. Hey-o. But the things that, you should definitely go over in your check-in, are discipline issues. Like, okay, is anybody on punishment? Is anybody on whatever? Because if one's off, the other's on. But time with the family all together. We're parenting. Hey, are we sewing into this entire family? So back to goals, even though we're outside of goals now, this is just straight up parenting, but it overlaps. Hey, when's our next family dinner? That goes back to scheduling. That's all encompassing.
Right.
But are we intentionally spending time as a family? Go ahead.
Yeah, that dinner table too. I mean, if you can do that as long as you can as a family, everybody gets together for dinner around the table. Like it's such an amazing way to connect. And if you can't, you have to. To me, it's a non-negotiable. You have to have those.
That's another thing that we have gone through phases on. There was, when the kids were younger, we were really good at that. And then as they got older, we were more sporadic with it. And now that Ben's in college,
Sure.
and Lily is like, she wants to be a recluse. Like she wants to be
it
will
is a
struggle.
Like she'll take her dinner or eat whenever.
She will sometimes eat with us. But a lot of times she will just be like, she has her little spot in the kitchen. She just wants to sit and like be on her own. So that is a thing that we struggle with. I've found that what we look forward to now, which isn't an everyday thing, obviously, but like when Ben comes home and we're getting together, and even with you guys, and we have like a family get together / dinner, and like, oh, these are the moments, and like I relish those. But yeah, I'm just putting that weakness out there for us, that we've sort of faltered in some of that.
And that is it's definitely a stage of life thing. I mean,
Yeah.
when they're in elementary school, you always have dinner together.
Right.
And then the one gets a little bit older, and it goes by the wayside. Now we still prioritize, we call it Mitlow family dinners. And Bella actually just texted me the other day, and I don't even know why, but she was like, I miss Mitlow family dinners.
Aww.
And I was like, stop getting DoorDash. because we have to keep sending you money. My money. The next one, man. Time for, we talked about earlier, time for each kid to spend time alone with the parent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're big on that. I mean,
I'm not, but I value it.
I feel like, okay. I feel like
I drop that ball most.
oh, wow.
Well, like your
I feel like you
your
talk about it
breakfast
a
with
lot. Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah, I just don't do it as much as I wish I did.
Wow.
Oh, okay.
You're doing it more than a
Seems
lot.
like you're ahead of the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got those car rides with Bella.
Oh, let me tell you, she just, I said something about,
you're good for a
feels like I
year.
was just here 2 days ago. And she's like, I'm sorry. Back to the guilt. And I said, Bella, I get to spend 2 hours alone with you. I said, whereas you and I probably won't spend 2 hours alone the rest of the time you're home for Easter. Mm-hmm. To which she said she was sorry. But yeah, no, and you can find those moments in there. So, but no, I think it's very vital. Daddy-daughter dates and those kind of stuff, and father-son time. And
I feel like we do a pretty good job at that. We could always do more. I think the struggle is more on the side of purposeful, altogether family time. Because there's times where, like, at the end of the day, Maggie will want to go play outside, and Amy will go out with her. And there's times where, like, I could get some things done. And
as they get older, it's because right now a lot of your one-on-one time is out of necessity. Somebody got to have her.
Yeah, right.
When they're independent, now it's a choice.
Yeah.
And good thing is, so in your marriage check-ins, is the next week parent responsibility. Like, okay, I'm really busy this week. You've got to pick up the slack these days, or I need you to cover this or that. And or who's burned out. Who just can't do it anymore. Because otherwise what happens? Well, it's another week. You keep the one person who's the primary person keeps doing what they're doing, even though they need a break. And then it's, and then, you need a break?
Yeah.
And now we're in the conflict.
Amy has gotten really good at this one. Like, she is so good at looking ahead and recognizing, listen, this week, this is happening, this and this, and like, can you please help out with, whatever it is that she would normally do. And it just saves, like, it's the proactive thing again, it just saves the, like you guys said, the resentment and the argument later.
And then lastly, what does the other parent need as far as, hey, what's your schedule look like? It's back to, it's like a combination of the last two goals, but like, hey, what do you need this next week to reach your goals, to make it through another week? If when you're in the soup like you guys are, but to check in with them. The next thing is, ready? Listen.
Nah.
Right.
I feel like Chris has mentioned that several times tonight, that you guys have learned to listen to each other better, which has helped head off a lot of the conflicts and solve a lot of the problems.
And I've talked over the years on pod, like how I've had to work at defensiveness and anger not being my first reaction to things. Like, why you just, because when your partner says something that hadn't been on your mind, and it's something either about you or something that could be about you, then do your hackles go up? Do you immediately, because this is what I would do, and like, I'm in the wrong. Like, why she thinks I'm a bad person, or she thinks I am just wrong. Like, I didn't do anything wrong. It's not
Hackles?
productive. You got those hackles.
Right.
Is that the
I've
wrong?
heard that term.
I've heard the term, but
it's on a cat. Like
I don't know. Is it like the hair on the?
Yeah, like when you see like a Halloween cat, you know what I mean? Like the tail's all fat and it's a hackles.
now I can go to bed. I've learned something. Yeah, I think that's important. But listen, this is again another thing Rachel and I do very well. I mean, every day when she gets home from work, assuming I'm there, is, hey, tell me about your day today. And then she'll say, how was your day today? And it's not even about each other in this moment. It's just listening to them so that they're heard, so that they're not, guess what, alone. And to not personalize it, like you do, like did, but to just say, oh, I care about your day. I want to spend this time and hear about it. I know that 90% of Rachel is just wanting to make sure that I'm okay. But she also knows that it's important for me to say, what did I do today? And so that's nice to hear that.
Lex and I went through something recently where it went beyond how was your day, where she expressed something to me, which was, I want you to go a little bit deeper. You know, don't just ask me how my day was.
Sure.
Ask me like things like what inspired me today, or like, because another thing that I've done over the years has been like, how's your heart? Right. Like that's kind of when we're doing a check-in, and like I'll do it, you know, quite a bit. Like, how's your heart? Which is good because there's a lot of people that don't even do that. But she was like, hey, try to, you know, ask me about something specific. Ask me, prod me with a question. You know what I mean? Which and for some, like some people might be rolling their eyes about that, but it's like,
No.
if that's what you need, and it gets me more engaged, and it's helped me, especially, you know, over the past month or two, to be like, it starts to make me think more intentionally about her rather than just this generic throwaway, hey, how you doing? What is it about her day that I'm going to ask her about? You know?
Well, number one, if we're just listening and letting them vent and share, good. That's the base minimum.
Right.
But a parenting tip that I think this just occurred to me that, man, we don't do this enough with our spouses. They say when you pick your kid up from school or whenever they come home from school,
Yes.
you don't say, how was your day today?
Right.
You say, what made you laugh today? What did you learn today? What was the most challenging part of your day? Okay, well, why do we not do that with our spouse?
Right.
Because even if you just say, hey, how's your heart? Well, that makes them decide.
Right.
But if you say, you know, where did you feel comforted today? Or, you know, where were you inspired today? Like it's a better engaging question. So yeah, that's a
Right.
deeper, more enriched. Go ahead.
And like today, Lex was like, I don't know if I felt inspired, but like, I think it's a good, like it's good because then it's on her to be like tomorrow, I'm going to look for a way to be
Right.
inspired. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it
Yeah.
kind of, it's a healthy prodding.
Right. And especially if she's in that game. But if it's more like,
Right. Some people don't need that. Right.
well, no,
Or-
but I mean like being inspired. Maybe they don't want to be inspired.
Right.
Okay. Well, where did you feel needed
Right.
today? Or where did you feel like you accomplished
how did
something
you not
today?
feel like you were drowning today? Like for some people in some situations, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, there was a minute.
Yeah. There's a
there
minute I
where-
could feel like I breathed.
So we have the calendars, we got the goals, you got discussing parenting issues, we got listening, and now we get to expressing needs, which is all we ever talked about before.
Finally.
But what I think is important is all these things have an impact on our needs, like
Right.
we talked about. And so simply, hey, what emotional need can I meet for you? It's two phases if we're talking about emotional needs. One, what do you think your needs are moving forward? What's what I did with Rachel? What do you got this week? You know, Easter baskets. All right, sweet. I'm going to take care of that. Have I done it yet? No. That's why God made Friday. Point is, well, maybe Saturday. Who are we kidding? The kids are like, why do we always get the crappy candy? I'm like, shut up. It's all Target had. But, and by Target, I mean Aldi. Point of the story is this.
By Aldi, you mean the dollar store.
That's you, babe. Rachel would be mad at me if I went to a dollar store. Anyhow, so number one is what needs do you have moving forward? But also, what hurts are you experiencing that I can be on the lookout for? Not to avoid them, but to aggressively seek for ways to comfort. You know, okay, so you've been being disrespected at work all the time. Okay, good. So I'm going to check in on that this next week and be ready to comfort you for that. Or I'm very frustrated with this. Oh, okay. So we just get to know it's a heart check-in, really.
Right.
But it's giving them the authority to say, here's what I need, here's where I've been hurting. And again, it might be you, but odds are it's not. But you get to be the hero in that thing and keep them from feeling alone.
Right.
So lastly, you end with appreciation. And you say, here's what I just really appreciate about you this week. And that's different for me in that I've said this many times. Rachel's got zero need for appreciation.
I know it's interesting because appreciation is one of the emotional needs, but what if it's really low?
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't spend a lot of time on it. What I would probably do is for me, if I was going, you know, if Rachel and I ever did the discipline, well, during the trade days, we would do this pretty much every day. we checked in every day. Wasn't all these things.
Right.
But I mean, we
shorter
spent
check-in.
15, 20 minutes of this.
Yeah.
But I would end with security for Rachel.
You're right.
I would say, all right, I just want you to know, here's what we're going to do. Banging it out.
Right.
All right. I'm going to review what we just talked about, and it's locked and loaded.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that you guys went through the emotional needs training before that time.
Bro, we wouldn't have made it. Would not have made it. Would not have.
That's a crazy
made it.
statement for me to hear from you.
Yeah.
We would no.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, I don't know.
no. It was we certainly wouldn't have gone the way it did.
So many
Right.
people don't make it through
You had a language. I'm sorry.
that, like just a tragic situation like that. Yeah.
No.
It gives you a language and a vessel through which to travel and communicate those times.
No, it was incredible. I mean, one of the things, well, that's for another podcast, another time. But no, it was because it also equipped us to equip the people around us.
Yeah, which is crazy.
We at Grief Share tonight, it was, what do you do with bad advice? How do you decipher when people give you advice in your grief, and when to take it, when not to take it? And this is just a brief aside. And I was sitting there thinking about it. And I went, I don't think anybody gave me any advice in my grief. And I went, well, number one, nobody had really gone through what we were going through in our
Right.
circle. And number two, I don't really present as someone that you want to tell what to do. Like, I'm not like the kind of person you're just like, you know what you want to do, Jay? Like, nobody does that. But yeah, so these things are valuable. And again, it's hypocritical for me to say you should do this when I don't do it, but I'm not saying I do it. I cover a lot of these topics. I wish we did this on a regular basis.
My favorite part about this is that, I mean, it sounds like, oh man, that's a lot, but now
Spend a lot of time in a given
now
week.
it's written down in an outline form. So like if you want to do like even just start with some of this or whatever, just go to lunchtimeinrome.com and look at this outline and say, okay, I'm going to hit these things.
And while there, take your relational needs questionnaire because it will help you to understand, as Patton was asking about
Double standards.
the double standards. That emotional needs questionnaire is going to give you one more vehicle through which to communicate to each other as you're checking in.
As we look at this and we say, boy, that's a lot. You're going to make me break down all the ways we spend time in a given week. You spend a lot of time doing a lot of things. Why wouldn't making sure your marriage or your relationship, and by the way, you can do a lot of these with your kids as well. But I mean, it's a valuable thing. I once looked into the Center for Relational Care where I was trained. And in one of my training, I found out how much it costs if you go there to save your marriage. And I was like, because I had people in mind, I wanted to refer to it. And I'm like, they're not going to pay that much. And so I said to the director, I said, that's an awful lot of money. He goes, you know how much divorce costs? And I was like, heck of a sales point, sir. So I encourage everybody to invest some time in these things.
That's how we're going to end episode 238. And I just want to say real quick, it was so great having Patton as part of the discussion tonight. Anybody out there who wants to be part of the live discussion, we are on Wednesdays at 8:30 or so live each week. Join us on YouTube and be part of or sit at the table with us, be part of the conversation. Thanks for joining us at the table for Lunchtime in Rome.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.